Can't be Hamilton. That doesn't make any sense. Hamilton? Hamilton? That's my impersonation of you. What is up, Watch fam? My name is Michael. This video is sponsored by Babel. I am ashamed that I don't speak more than one language. More on that later, though. Recently, I had a terrifying experience in the shower. I looked down and realized that Rolex was not my favorite brand, and that I think it's Hamilton. As I was writing the ideas for this video, though, I kind of switched positions on that. So we'll get into that at the end. You'll probably be able to assume what the brand is that's my favorite. Today, we're talking about the story of finding the brand for you, because it's easy to think it's Rolex, or it's Patek, or it's AP, or it's Tudor, or Vacheron, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else worth looking at. And frankly, I just don't think that's true. And I'm assuming you don't think that's true either, but it does take a little, you have to get over the hump of getting into the watch world, I feel like, to start thinking about that. I don't know if I'm over the hump, but I would like to imagine there is some humping in my direction coming. Anyways, though, my favorite brands, I wouldn't say Hamilton is my favorite brand, because I have favorite brands. I don't have a best friend, I have best friends. So my best friends are Zenith, Hamilton, and Nomos, I think, which is an incredibly weird lineup. And that's not to say that I don't like other watch brands. I really love Omega, and the day they make a Speedmaster that looks just like a regular Speedmaster, but smaller, I will buy it. I was reading Omega's brand history recently, and it turns out that the Speedmaster actually went to the moon. How crazy is that? That could be something. Keep that up there in case you ever buy one, because you might want to tell your friends that. Also, obviously, I really love Rolex. They have this really neat watch called a Daytona that I'm probably going to go get one tomorrow. I'm going to go to the store and leave the same day with one. There's a watch probably from every brand that I love, and whenever I am wearing that watch, I will then declare that brand as my favorite. I did that with an Oris pointer date. I wore that for a day, and Christian sat down to film a live with me, and I said, hey, Oris is my favorite brand. And he didn't even pay attention to it. And it frustrates Christian to no end that I take watches in and flip them a lot, because I'm always looking for something that I really, really like. But I do really, really love this Hamilton Pilot Pioneer, and I have for a while, because in the past few videos that I've been putting up, also, Christian's not here. He's on vacation in Italy. He's on vacation till the end of September, and then he'll be back. Hopefully tan, toned, fit, happy. You know how he usually is. But either way, I photographed the original Hamilton Pilot Pioneer, the ones that were out in the 70s, for the T&H Watch Shop, which you should definitely check out because it's a great watch shop. And while I was photographing that watch, I was like, wow, this watch is beautiful. It's perfect. It's mechanical. It's small. It feels like a little pebble that I could huck into the water. I love everything about it. And guess what? Nothing changed in terms of, one, how I feel about it, and two, how it looks. Hamilton didn't really change a thing. They have a different movement. It's 100 meters water resistant, but basically the same watch. And I love it a lot. So let's get into the journey of finding your brand. And I can only get into that journey by telling you the journey of finding my brand. And even though I don't have my brand yet, maybe one day I will. But I also think it is good to never constrain yourself. I think defining yourself in this way is only going to limit you from finding other cool watches. Saying I only buy these type of watches can really just close you off to a bunch of other watches that you may love. So, always rethink what your brand could be. But it is nice to be like, no, I always come back to this brand. This video is sponsored by Babel, one of the top language learning apps in the entire world, possibly even the universe. You know say. Babel's intuitive lessons help you learn a language through real life conversations. I didn't really get the bug to learn a new language until last year and this year when I started traveling. Well, I traveled for my first time ever to Europe last year, and this year I traveled a lot to Europe, and everything changed. I wanted to learn a language so bad. I know some Spanish, not a lot, but I wanted to learn French, I wanted to learn Italian, I want to learn Japanese, because when you travel, you realize just how cool it is when you see Europeans speaking 3 or 4 different languages or 2 languages. I was at an airport and this guy said French, English, Dutch, German, Italian. And I was like, wow, that is one of the coolest skills that I could ever imagine. My girlfriend is fluent in French, whenever she has to speak French. It is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. It's like when someone whips out a guitar and turns out to be an amazing musician. You're just jealous and kind of awestruck at the same time. Babel is scientifically proven to help you start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks, and lessons are designed by real language teachers. My Spanish teacher would love that. My name in Spanish class was Pepe. She would say, Pepe, muy bien. Babel also offers a 20-day money-back guarantee, and they offer live classes, and you can get 2 free live classes with your subscription. It's also really useful that Babel teaches real-world conversations, because at the end of the day, I don't want to spend a lot of time learning things that I will never say to other people when I am out on the street talking it up. For example, if I was in Spain and I was looking for the bathroom, it'd be really nice to know how to say, ¿Dónde está el baño? Very quickly, because it will probably be an emergency because I'm a little shy. And as you probably know, and definitely know if you have kids, fall is the season of learning. Children are going back to school. They're going to outpace you and beat you in Spanish unless you try out Babel. And Babel obviously doesn't only offer Spanish, they offer a ton of different languages. Let me know what language you would like to learn below. Maybe we could speak it together. So thank you so much to Babel for sponsoring this video. Check out the link in the description to get 60% off on your subscription. Okay, so we're going to get into the journey now. The most important thing that you have to remember is that absolutely no one will ever care what watch you have on your wrist. No one will ever notice. No one will ever look besides other people like me. And you should not live your life trying to impress people like me, or really most people in your life, but especially people like me, and even more so people like, you know? Anyways though, back to me in the shower. I was standing in the shower. Of course, I just got the Hamilton Pilot Pioneer, has 100 meters water resistance, which we'll get on Hamilton water resistance and quality later in this video. And I looked down and just watched the water pelt this watch, and the watch continued to tick, and I was like, oh yeah, that's good. I love that. And in my second most vulnerable state, I think my first vulnerable state, well, we don't even need to talk about that. My second most vulnerable state would be naked in the shower. And while I was in that state, I declared to no one in particular, I love this watch. And so begins the journey of Hamilton joining the ranks of my favorite brands. In order to explain why I love this watch and why another brand will become very obvious very soon, I used to own a ton of them. Now I don't. There's one that I want that we'll talk about in a second. To get to that point, we need to talk about my life in cars, because I spend a ton of my life in cars. Most of my life, starting from 16, has been in cars. Specifically, one model of car, the Toyota Camry. Camry? Last time I said Camry, someone made fun of me and said that I can't even read my own car name. Maybe it's because I'm from Cape Cod. Everybody there says Camry. I don't know. They also say crayon. I have no idea. We also say crayon instead of crayon because Cape Cod is the land of cranberries, so it comes very natural. I have owned 3 cars in my life. They were all the exact same model. The first one was a 1996 Toyota Camry in beige that blew up when I was driving it. It didn't actually explode. I would have been dead, but something really went wrong, so I pulled into a woman's gym parking lot and was like 16 years old. I lifted the hood and I was like, oh, okay, well, good thing the engine's still there. And before I could even call my parents, the manager of the gym came out and said, we've received a number of complaints that there's a creepy guy in the parking lot, which was me. I guess I haven't come a long way since then. At least now it's intentional. Just kidding. I bought the first car for my sister. The second car I purchased for my grandmother. That was a 2004 Camry, and I put over 263,000 miles on that car. I drove it absolutely everywhere, and I love that car. And I did not want to sell that car, but my parents made me an offer that I couldn't refuse for their Camry, a 2014 Camry. But I was so connected with that blue car, I put so many miles on it, that a girl I was dating at the time wrote me a note on a blue piece of paper that said, I didn't write the whole thing down, but basically said she just can't picture me without the car. She doesn't picture me in her head without me driving in my 2004 blue Toyota Camry. Ray feels right. Now I have a 2014. Isn't this such a fun video? Now I have a 2014 Toyota Camry with over 160,000 miles on it, and I just want to drive it into the ground. I want to drive that car until I push the gas and it doesn't go forward. And the mechanics say, there's nothing we can do to fix this car, Michael. Did you open the hood? The engine's gone. You drove it away. My car is currently being fixed. I rented a Toyota 4Runner in the meantime, and I love that car. And we'll get into why I love it specifically in a second. But in the 4Runner, I realized that I love Toyota. The fact that they make the Camry and the 4Runner, I was like, both of these cars, just fantastic. Love them. Can't get enough of them. I love the fact that Toyota is in this space to be the most reliable car brand of all time. I know you can fix cars and whatever, take care of a car and it will last you for a very long time. But I love that Toyotas have that reputation of just being cars you can use and abuse and they just keep going. I love how practical they are. I love how they put fuel economy first. Anyways, Toyota, for the most part, it's not flashy. It's a brick. It's super reliable, super dependable. I love that. Absolutely love that. So obviously that is something I would really also want in a watch. Writing the ideas down here, I wrote, this makes me think maybe I would want a Seiko more than a Hamilton. Which leads me to the question, I got this watch. I love this watch. I showered with it. I dunked my hand in the sink to see if the watch would survive. It has so far, but I have read some things about Hamilton's reliability. So to all the owners of Hamilton watches, has your watch been reliable? Has it flooded with water? Has anything happened to it that's kind of lousy? Because that's the worst feeling if you get a watch and you think of it as a reliable tool and then it proves itself not to be reliable. So either way, ask me your opinion there. Long story short, I was looking down at the Hamilton and I was seeing the Toyota logo in my head. I was like, yes, this is it. This feels like that watch. It's not obviously as flashy as a Rolex, but it's still cool. It's still mechanical. It's hand wind, which I like even better than an automatic watch. It's a great size for me. It feels like a little pebble, which I love. And that's it. That's all and I like that it actually has numbers on it. Really like that. And I was like, that's fantastic. I love the simplicity of that. I love really everything about this watch. But also, in writing all of this stuff down, I realized that I probably want a Seiko, like I said, and I really love the SPB 159, the Baby Alpinist. Fantastic watch. Might snag one of those. That does feel more in line with Toyota, but I don't know. I think it's because I had so many Seikos when I first started collecting that I'm not super drawn to the brand, but I'm thinking about changing that. So who knows? I also really love that this watch is under $1,000. And I think it's $875. A Rolex is obviously super reliable, beautiful, everything like that, but it is $5,000 or $6,000. And I have an Explorer, I have a Zenith Revival Shadow. They're beautiful, but there is something nice about just like a workhorse watch under $1,000. There's a different draw to it in general. So I don't know. I guess maybe Rolex would be a Lexus. I don't know what car brand it would be. I feel like this comes up every once in a while, but I do like the fact that this Hamilton feels very in line with like a Tacoma, a 4Runner, a Camry, or something like that. For some reason, very drawn to that. Also, one more thing I want to mention is that sometimes I like to not get the best of the best thing, even if it is available to me. Perfect example of that, I have an iPhone 13. I didn't get an iPhone 13 Pro because I felt like an iPhone 13 was enough. And I would push this phone more than I would push an iPhone 13 Pro because the Pro had a better processor, everything like that, better cameras. And I was like, I'll never use them. I like the fact that this is exactly what I need and nothing more. Even though anything above this would still be fine and totally usable, it didn't feel as utilitarian or something like that. That happens a lot. I don't actually know what that means in terms of what I'm looking for, but for example, I like that when I rented the 4Runner, it took a while to get up to 60 miles an hour on the highway. I thought that was great. I was like, yeah, it makes sense, because I didn't get this car to go super fast. I don't need it to be good at off-roading and very fast.
Straps, as many of you should know, bring a whole world of potential to mix up your watch collection. They breathe new life into watches. They help you pull out different colors. They give them new personality. Straps can be very addictive. I know people with 2 watches and 10 straps because it adds so many facets to a collection in a fairly easy and fun way. So that's why they become such a part of the Theo and Harris culture and identity. I think we sell more exotic straps than almost anybody because I just love them so much and I love sharing them with you.
Finally, with those ideas that I outlined above, I know what I'm looking for, but then I have to find the specific brand, because there's Longines, there's Tudor, obviously those are a little higher priced, there's Nomos, if we come down a tiny bit, then there's Hamilton, there's Oris, there's Seiko, all of these cool brands, but then comes the toughest part, because you have to figure out what brand kind of gives you a good feeling about the brand in general. Hamilton, for me, for some reason, yes, I think it's because of their history. I really, really like. Obviously, Rolex for a lot of people is the most popular one because it's a Rolex. You achieved Rolex level of whatever you were trying to do. That's fantastic, but it's always tough to find that because I don't want a Honda, I want a Toyota. And why? I don't know. Maybe because I grew up with them or whatever it may be. So at the end of the day, after talking all through that, actually when I was driving here, I was like, it's not a Seiko. But after writing this and talking about it, it does feel like a Seiko may be something that I should re-add to the collection. I'll probably be looking at the Baby Alpinist because it's just a beautiful watch, great price, tough. I can go hiking with it, I can swim with it, I can do everything that I like to do with it. And then I'll also, of course, keep this Hamilton because I love it. So either way, I don't know if that helps or not. That is kind of how I came to Hamilton and Seiko out of the world of, or out of kind of being stuck in the Rolex, Tudor, Zenith, Nomos mindset. So who knows? We'll see if I get the Seiko. We'll see if I like it. We'll see what happens. Sometimes I make terrible decisions. For example, I thought the Tissot PRX Digital is a really cool watch, really beautiful watch. To be honest, I still kind of think that. And 99.999% of you don't. So who knows? This video can mean nothing, but I would love to hear your favorite brand. It could be Rolex, but why? What about Rolex? What about another brand that you list? And stuff like that. Anyways, that's about it. I will see you all very, very soon. Hope you're having a good day. Goodbye.
The watch on your wrist, unlike your iPad, will mean something to someone one day if it doesn't already. Something that will make them smile, walk a little taller, surely at some point cry, but it will mean something.